YouTube! YouTube! What is going on, people? It's the Red Mr. NFC Ninja, and we are here with the post-match review of Red Bull Salzburg. Sorry, I've done it again. Liverpool versus Red Bull Salzburg. It was a scintillating, absolute crazy match. Liverpool leading at half-time at 3-0. Sorry, 3-1, because Red Bull did score just before half-time. Guys, it was an absolute bonkers affair. It was crazy. I thought we'd won by half-time. I thought it was like, oh my god, this is going to be an actual beating. Let's get straight into it. On the screen, you can see my predicted man of the match was Fabinho. He had a really, I don't know, good game, bad game in places. Oh, I don't know, conceding 3. I know it's not just his fault. It's also dependent on what your backline's doing, etc, etc, etc. However, I will stand by my decision. As you can see also on the screen, guys, my Angry Redbirds, the guys that are dropped from the squad, you know them by now, no doubt. My injury list still consists of Alisson, who is now fit again, and he'll probably be back against Leicester. And that's unfortunate for Adrian, because those goals, I don't know many keepers that would have stopped them, truth be told. And Shaqiri probably back for maybe the United game, I imagine. So yeah, fingers crossed, everybody is soon back in quite a serious period that's coming up. The next 6 games, 5 games are quite serious, and I would love to pick up, you know, maximum points. But we just have to see how we do. So let's run through the Red Bull Salzburg starting 11 quickly. So in goal we had Stankovic, and bear with me with these names because they are crazy. 1 or 2 of them, I don't even know I'm going to get around it. But yes, right back was Nissen, across the middle in defence, centre backs were Ongweni and Roba, left back was Ulma, right midfield was Takumi, across the middle was Junuzovic, Mwepu, and then Sozobozolai. I'm not going to try again, guys, but you know what I'm talking about. Up front was Daka and Hwang, and their style of this 4-4-2 was really unorthodox. It was like Daka was playing almost like a wing striker, like how Salah would play, and Hwang was coming in from that real far wide left area like Mane would, but they never had a central figure. Junuzovic and Mwepu would alternate at times in joining the front two as the third man. If they was around our box, those two would kind of act like a 4 and both push forward, which did leave a big hole. And sometimes Ongweni would fill in, or one of the either Takumi or the crazy name guy, apologies crazy name guy, if you ever watched this, would kind of just drift inwards. Let me show you what I mean. So when they are attacking, these two will move forward and really come in at an angle. On occasions when they was around our box, these two would definitely both move forward, which left a big gap in and around this area here. From time to time, what would happen is Takumi would just kind of move inwards, just to kind of make it a little less narrow, and so would this guy here. Every time I go to say his name, it's just crazy. So it would be like a box. You create like a box 4-4-2, and it was really interesting to see the way they operated. And this was becoming more and more effective as we kind of released the pressure and the domination of the game. It was yeah, and these two didn't really play. Only on occasions did they play as like wingers, because they had the width with Hwang and Daka along the other side. So it was really quite unorthodox style of the 4-4-2, but I did like it. I can't lie. I thought they executed it brilliantly. I really quite like Red Bull Salzburg. I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be a tough affair when we go there and play them. Honestly, guys, it's not gonna be easy. And nor is it gonna be easy for Napoli to get points either. I don't even know how they drew with Genk, but lucky for us they did. It makes topping the group a lot more foreseeable and doable now. So yeah, that was a rough visual of how Red Bull got down against us. Let's talk about our starting lineup, my predicted starting lineup, and the actual starting lineup. So, obviously we had Adrian in goal, Robertson, Van Dijk, Matip, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Gini Wijnaldum, Fabinho, Jordan Henderson, and obviously our front three, Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino, and Mohamed Salah. This was my predicted starting lineup, and the actual starting lineup, guys, only had one change to it, and that was Matip dropping out for Gomez. Let's just quickly do Klopp substitutions. I went with Kelleher on the bench, Joe Gomez, Dejan Lovren, Naby Keita, James Milner, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, and Divock Origi. That was my predicted bench. The actual bench didn't feature Dejan Lovren, and it did have Adam Lallana. So let's quickly make that change, guys. So, drop from the squad was Dejan Lovren, and on comes Adam Lallana. The other change, guys, was on field with Gomez coming in, don't know where I'm taking him, and Joel Matip dropping out. But actually, this is very interesting because Joel Matip wasn't even on the bench. No, guys, as you know, he was dropped from the squad completely. Why is that? Is he got a little injury or something going on there? But to be dropped from the squad completely. And Dejan Lovren was on the bench. Very interesting. What is that about? Why? I mean, I told you in the videos before, if you listen to them or you read them, Lovren is kind of the yes man to Klopp at the moment. Klopp is keeping them in the frame. Everything is like, yeah, him, Lallana, he rotates them, and they're kind of not really playing, but they're doing well in training. So it's like, yeah, you can come on, you can join the squad this week, you can be on the bench this week. Not mean you're going to play, but you know, it kind of gives them their weekly outing to whatever team we're playing. They can enjoy the coach ride, even though they're on a coach anyway. So I expect next week Joel Matip to be back in the side. It was fairly different to my proposed lineup. I think I had Naby started, although I can't remember. No, I think I did. Yes, this was exactly the same as I predicted, barring Joe Gomez for Matip, and Matip not being in the squad and Lovren being on the bench. So let's talk about players. Let's give them a rating. Adrian, the goals that he conceded, I don't really think he had much of a chance. Hwang's shot was just awesome. I looked to bring Hwang in actually for our team as a Sadio Mane kind of left-sided, almost like Son for Tottenham type player. He'd definitely be interested in the move. He looks fiery, energetic. He's actually a substitute. He's a backup player for them at the moment. Man, he looked good. He looked really good. He done Van Dijk good and proper. That is how you beat a player. That is how you beat a player. But anyway, this isn't about beating Virgil van Dijk. This is about Liverpool FC, and we're gonna go straight back to Adrian. None of them goals, he didn't really have a chance. So will that be a reason for Klopp to kind of be like, well, he conceded 3, maybe you could have got one of them somewhere? But this is the thing. Would Alisson have got a hand to something and knocked it onto the bar? This is how you know Alisson is a great goalkeeper, because although they look like he weren't getting a chance against them, it's Adrian. And you could easily swap them and be like, no, Alisson wouldn't have got them. But you don't know, because Alisson, he is that world-class goalkeeper. And all some of them need was the littlest of touches to maybe hit it onto the bar. Then it's an absolutely amazing save. So it's all if, buts and maybes. But yes, I do expect Alisson now to be back in against Leicester after the Adrian performance. Maybe Klopp, it's just a little excuse Klopp requires to get Alisson back into the mix. Knowing that Adrian will look at himself and think, oh, you know what, maybe I could have saved one of them at least. We move on to the defence. Gomez, rusty. Van Dijk, been average. He's been average. His last lot of games he's been average, because the man that didn't play today, that wasn't even in the squad, Joel Matip, He's the one that's been stepping up for the last, I don't know, however many weeks. He's been absolutely fantastic. And that is a good thing, because VVD isn't going to be, amazing for the whole season. Complacency settles in. He knows he's irreplaceable. There ain't no one challenging him for his position. But he plays at such a level now and a comfort that you don't even notice when he's underperforming or performing. That said, as I said a little while ago, Matip has been phenomenal. Robertson, my guy, he was fantastic. I thought he was great. I didn't really have no problems. He dealt with Dakar well, it contained him. The problem was from Hwang down Trent's side. But when Trent plays with Gomez, there's always an issue. There's always a problem. Those two, I just don't think they defend very well as a two next to each other. I just don't. Trent is far better with Matip. Matip is a better defender than Gomez. Gomez is 22 years old. Matip, nor Van Dijk, nor a lot of defenders weren't, at the level of Gomez when they was 22 years old. What was Van Dijk doing at 22 years old? Someone comment, let me know. He might have even still been at Groningen, or the team after Groningen where he went to. Might even been early years at Celtic. I know he transferred to Southampton for 2-3 years, I think. I don't know their history, I'm not claiming I do. I'm unbiased to any player that I do not have a particular favourite. All of them have their pluses and all of them have their minuses. The only one who I think is very, very consistent in everything he does is probably Virgil van Dijk. Possibly Fabinho. The rest all sort of blow hot and cold, but are generally consistent. Even our front three. Regardless of, Salah going 4 or 5 games without a goal, or Mane going, or Roberto, blah, 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 blah. So you get my gear. So the back four, guys, Adrian, I'm going to give him a 7. I thought he performed well, but there weren't really much he could have done, to be honest, about those goals. So 7, 6, 7. I'm going to give him a 7. The back line, Gomez and Van Dijk, I don't think any of them stood out. I'm going to give them both a 7. Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold, I'm going to give them both. No, I'm going to give Trent a 7.5. I'm going to give Robertson an 8. I thought he was solid. He got the goal. He got right in there. And then the 7 with the 0.5 from the assist for Trent Alexander-Arnold, getting at Umar whenever he could, crossings in the box. Yeah, those two were really, really a massive help. Our midfield, now this was interesting because Jordan Henderson gave away the ball for the first goal, as you all know. You can say that's his fault. Yeah, why? Because he gave the ball away. But come on, guys, there is 4 other players. 4 other players. There was him, and a goalkeeper. 5, you could even say, behind the ball. Van Dijk got sold. Gomez, I don't even know where he went to. Trent was trailing, or he got beaten. There's no excuse. And where was the covering from Fabinho? Maybe he was marking. I need to see that clip again. But it's on the halfway line when he loses the ball. It's not like it was the football, not quite the halfway line. He was going towards the half. He was in between our area and the halfway line. So he was within our third quarter of the pitch. But I don't know. I kind of think something should have been done. That said, again, he lost the ball, is where it was. By that time, guys, we're coasting towards half-time. You generally do kind of, after the third goal between half-time, as a team, if you played in the team, if you've experienced any situation like that, you do tend to drop off because you're heading towards half-time and everything feels really quite comfortable. It was just a little overconfident lapse in concentration from Henderson, and he got caught out. Henderson, remember, was the one responsible for that very, very, very sexy first time pass out wide to Trent. Now, which this brings me on to what our midfield actually does. And I've been banging on the people about Twitter and this, that and the other. And people just dislike Henderson. They dislike Henderson because they don't see anything special from him. He's not a Silva. He's not a Gundogan. He's not a KDB. He's just your bog standard central midfielder that completes passes, retains possession, plays with both feet, is very, very, very hard working, gets stuck in, can organise, can header, wins headers, gets first balls, gets second balls. He works his backside off. And in the club midfield, that is why he starts over Ox, Shaqiri, Naby, Adam Lallana, whoever you want to say. James Milner is probably the closest person that can replicate what he gives to the pitch. And that is why James Milner always plays alongside Henderson or comes on for him usually when we need to rebolster or recharge our midfield, like what happened towards the end of this game. Wiji is very, very similar to Jordan Henderson in terms of what I just said. However, Wiji is a better carrier of the ball than Henderson is. And he can sometimes swerve a player or do something a little bit cheeky and just kind of maybe create something or get a goal. He's a bit more advanced, but he carries the same style as Jordan Henderson. Fabinho is your bog standard DM. No messing about, no bullshit. I'm gonna tackle you type of player. And he just keeps it moving from side to side, left, right, moving the ball, giving whips, popping the ball here, playing it up the middle, playing it forward, links the play, receives from defenders, back to goal, facing goal, doesn't matter. Fabinho is the linchpin which starts off the moves after, receiving it off of Gomez or the back four or Van Dijk, whoever it is, goalkeeper, whatever. I've seen the goalie throw it out to Fabinho, he turns and then pushes it out wide to Trent or whoever it is that he plays the ball to. But these three guys, literally, they are a wall. They are a wall and they are Klopp's first choice midfield. Whether you like it or not, they are his first choice midfield. And I can see why they are his first choice midfield. Because they are very kind of protective of the back four, right? The assists and creativity doesn't come from those midfielders. It doesn't. It's not meant to. They are there to protect our defence. When Trent goes up the wing and Robertson goes up the wing, those guys are then covered. They're protected. When they're forward, who protects them? Jordan Henderson, Fabinho, and Wijnaldum. That's who protects them. You're just proving my point. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They protect. They're not meant for assists. What they do is link the play. They link the play into our front three. And by linking the play, I mean a pass or two before the actual assist pass to a goal. Now, an example was last night when Jordan Henderson played the ball out to Trent Alexander-Arnold, who crossed it in to Robertson, who finished it off. Now, that is the link pass, the one before the assist pass. That is what Wiji, Fabinho, and Jordan Henderson do. So, for instance, another example would be, this didn't happen last night, but another one could be, Wijnaldum passes it to Fabinho, who does a 1-2 with Mane, gets it back and scores. So, the link pass is Fabinho into the front three. Our front three are full of assists. You just go, look, last night you saw the front three. The assists, the Mane goal, the 1-2, the Mane goal. They assist each other. They don't need the assist from midfield. All they require is the ball to be played into them. They will do the assist between them and score between them. So our midfield is not about assisting. However, when the front three are a bit dry and lost of ideas or it's not going to plan, then sometimes we have to push on or we have to throw an extra attacker to mess up the system that we are playing against, aka our opposition's defence, in order to create a gap or a hole. Like against Sheffield United, where Wijnaldum was pushing forward because we had them under the cosh, we was comfortable. Sheffield United wasn't doing anything. We was parked in their box and everything was comfortable. So it was okay for Wiji to push forward. Wiji got the shot off, and guys, Wiji scores. Henderson makes the blunder, Wiji scores. So, and in that game also, Klopp brought on Divock Origi and took off one of the midfielders. I think it might have been, I'm not sure who it was, so I'm not going to say. But Divock came on and he was dribbling, left wing, caused the problem. If I remember correctly, it was a cross, it was headed out, Wiji picks it up, and then it led to the goal. Something along them lines, but that is my point. And the same thing happened against Salzburg. Henderson and Wiji both ended up coming off. Wiji came off for Divock Origi, and Henderson came off for Milner, and then Salah came off after scoring a second for Naby Keita in the 90th minute. In post before, I've said Milner was brought on, and the reason why he's brought on is to replenish the energy in midfield, right? We went into a 4-2-3-1 formation, which looked basically sort of like this. So Henderson comes off, Milner comes on, we go to a 2, Divock Origi comes on, and Wiji comes off. So that was our formation. Fabinho switched this side, and that was our formation. It was like a 4-2-3-1. It was like a 4-2-3-1 with a replenished midfielder, Milner, an extra head for the back four to worry about, an attacking midfielder, and obviously the normal wingers. So there's more worry, and it creates a different issue for their back line. And that's how we ended up getting the extra goal. But one thing Klopp doesn't do, I'm afraid, guys, is bring on an Ox and Naby in these central areas, because they're not defensive enough and they don't work hard enough. Really and truly, what should have happened is Firmino maybe should have been substituted for Ox or Naby. But you've only got a certain amount of substitutions, right? 3. And you've got more people on the bench that, you know, are allowed. We used to be 6, now it's 7 or something. This was probably the best way he could keep the creativity in midfield, which is Firmino, supplied to Mane and Salah via Firmino, on the pitch. Replenish the midfield with the Milner change. So it made complete sense to me. You're not losing anything and you're gaining attack. This is why Naby and Ox don't come on. I don't care what anybody says, they do not cover ground defensively, and their work rate is not as hard and as vicious as Milner's, Henderson's, or Fabinho. And this is why Klopp goes with them, because they are consistent and they work hard every single game. Another thing to do is you look at the changes of this game. Wijnaldum and Henderson come off, and you guys out there, I've seen people on Twitter, oh, Wijnaldum and Henderson were shit, that's why they got substituted. No, don't get it twisted. Klopp thinks ahead as well. Remember, we have Leicester. It would have been disappointing if we had drawn this game, but we also have Leicester on the weekend. Who are his starters? Jordan Henderson and Wijnaldum. Again, guys, if we had drawn this game, Napoli already drew, so we already knew the Napoli result. It probably wouldn't have been the end of the world, even if we had drawn this, but we didn't, because the changes did both. They replenished the midfield, they bolstered our attack, and they preserved some of our players for next week. 2 of our influential players, 2 of our main starting 11 players for next week. So don't just think it was because they was playing badly. It wasn't. They got a lot of games to get through. You honestly think Wijnaldum and Jordan Henderson were tired? You're having a bubble. These guys aren't tired. They're not tired. If anything, it was a whole lapse in concentration from the team. First of all, you have a centre-back that's been put in that has played, 2 games so far this season? If that? Well, there's the first problem for starters. You also don't have your first choice goalkeeper. So there's another problem again. So let's not get picky at players that we don't think are so flash or sexual when they're playing football, because they don't look the part, because they're bog standard, basic, and just get the job done. As a midfielder, and I've played midfield, I played a midfield position, right? They are the hardest players to play against. Someone who is technically good and does the basics like clockwork are very, very hard to play against, because the minute they receive the ball, you run up to them, they passed it. it isn't easy to play against that player. I love the player, right? And I played the DM. And I love the player. Well, I floated between the DM and attack. In fact, this is not really a position. When I was younger, I used to play centre-back. When I was like 12, 13, 14. Then I moved to a striker as I kind of didn't really... I became physical and powerful and fast and quick. So then I turned into a striker. Then as I was getting older, I dropped to the wings, left and right wingers, because I could deliver at the crossings and I was quick still. And then in my latter years, I turned into a centre midfielder. I was playmaking, getting forward. I still had the energy. And then in my latter careers, like 32, 33, I started playing more of a DM, kind of like a Xavi Alonso role. Yeah, but not like Xavi Alonso, obviously. And this was all around semi-pro level. That's the highest level I played with semi-pro. So guys, like, it is not easy to play against somebody who knows the basics very well. And those three, Fabinho, Wijnaldum, Henderson, even Milner, they're very, very difficult to play against. That's why when you see Liverpool play, we are like a machine. We have a system. You know, you can almost predict the passes. You see Trent, you know where he's going. Boom, boom. But you can't deal with it because it's like a pinball machine. It's so precise and it's so quick. You can't defend against it. Whereas Man City, on the other hand, they're quite sporadic and unpredictable. But at the same time, you can't deal with it because it's unpredictable. They're two totally different styles. But our one is less reliant on having to be at your best. City have to be at their absolute best. Every player has to perform. Well, maybe not every player, but definitely in attacking sense. If their attacking sense is off, then it doesn't bode well for them. But us, we work with a system. So as long as everybody's doing a job and relatively well, something generally happens, or we can generally create an opportunity where we can get a goal or a bit of luck or something. And that, you can't install that in any old system. You can't do what Ollie's doing at United and get the results of luck that Liverpool are having with certain things, or it's just not the same. This is just club system, whether you like it or not. Someone threw up stats at me about Naby Keita in Germany. Look, I don't care about stats in Germany. It's not the EPL. His stats were good there because, let's face it, the league ain't very good. I mean, we always say other leagues aren't very good. I mean, it is a good standard. It's professional. What am I talking about? Bayern Munich just slapped Tottenham 7-2 in the Champions League game away from home. So it's not. What I'm saying is below Leipzig, Dortmund and Bayern, there's not much happening, you know. With our league, we do now have a top 6, which was the top 4, is now a top 6. That's what I mean. I mean the top 2 from any league. You know, Barcelona are good as Liverpool. Bayern are as good as Barcelona right now. You know, even Inter Milan are troubling Barcelona. Juve would trouble Barcelona. Atletico, Juve, Madrid, as shit as they are, they're Madrid. The top 2, 3 can always challenge each other. It's lower down, which identifies a league as whether it's the strongest or the weakest. And the second strongest, in my opinion, is La Liga, with Barcelona, Madrid, Valencia. But even then, I think it's stronger than, actually the Italian league probably stronger than La Liga now, actually, my opinion. Juventus, Napoli, well, saying that, Atalanta, yeah, I don't know. Guys, I kind of feel like they're all over pegging thinking about it. But you get where I'm coming from. So in the EPL, there is 6, you know, big clubs. Man United in the Arsenal game was absolute shit. But it's the most competitive, let's say. So let's jump back on to the ratings. Milner came on, did his job, did what he had to do. I'm going to give him a 7, standard 7. Fabinho, I'm going to give Fabinho a 7. Wijnaldum and Henderson. Henderson, I was thinking of a 7.5. But I don't know because he made the mistake which led to the goal. So Oh, guys, I don't know about this one, honestly. Oh, how do you get around this one? Wow, guys. It wasn't really assist. I'm gonna go with a 7 because it weren't really assist, but it started the move. It was the link pass. So I'm gonna go with just a 7. I guess it was an average all-round performance. Good defensive part, solid in defense, but then lacking towards the end of the half. In the second half, had to ring changes and grind out the result. Wiji much the same, 7. Fabinho, yeah. So I'm content with those scores for those guys. The front three, Salah, I'll give Salah. I don't think he was blinding. I think he was on it. He got his 2 goals. So I'm gonna give him probably a 7 would have been without the goals. Got 2 goals, 0.5, 7.5, and then onto an 8 because of the second goal. Got the winner as well. Maybe 8.5 for his performance. Roberto Firmino, I'm going to go with a 7.5 for him. I thought he could have been a bit more in it, although he was very good. Mane, I'm going to also go for. I'm going to go for an 8 for Mane. I thought he was trouble. I thought he was trouble without the second goal that Salah got. So I'm going to go with an 8 for Mane, 8.5 for Salah, 7.5 for Firmino, sorry. Substitutes, Origi came on. He was doing a little something, but I'm going to leave him on a 7. Didn't overperform, didn't underperform. Milner came on, full of energy. I'm going to give Milner a 7.5. Obviously, changed up the game, made sure something happened, kept us boxed into their half, applying the pressure. Yeah, just did what he had to do, changed it from deep. Him and Fabinho just took over. Yeah, so I'm going to give him a 7.5. None of the other substitutes saw any game time. The actual man of the match, I'm not even sure who got it, so I can't even tell you. My predicted man of the match, as I said, was Fabinho. But guys, yes, I know some of you wanted to see Naby Keita, but him and Ox just ain't ready. They're not used. They're not used as first choice. When are you going to see it? They don't offer the defensive abilities that Wiji, Fabinho and Henderson offer. The work rate is just not there from either of them. And Ox has had a crazy injury, and Keita has been off and on with injuries. They're fit. Let's just face it, they're fit. There's no point making excuses saying that, he's been off, he's had injuries, so that's why Klopp's not. No, you're just hopeful. They are fit. They're in full training now, right? Full training. They are fit to play. It's because Klopp doesn't trust them. If we had been 3-0 up in 16 minutes, you would have seen Naby Keita and Ox come on, because it's safe to weaken the defense, and then he could have rested Wiji or Henderson or Fabinho for the game on Saturday. But because of the 3-3 comeback, he couldn't then weaken the midfield. So he had to go with who he trusted to hold position and keep dominating, who and replenish the energy, which was Milner, not Keita and not Ox. That is why none of these two came on. Definitely not Lana, because again, all 3 of them, they don't have the work rate. Out of all of them, Ox has the biggest work rate, but he's not the best defending. All those guys have an eye for attacking. They want to attack. They want to create something. They want to get an assist. They want to make an impact. They're impact players. So with bringing on Origi and not bringing on Ox, Keita or Lallana, what you're doing is you're releasing Origi from the thought of having to defend. If you bring on Naby or Ox or Lallana, the last thing they want to do after they've just had an attack or been part of an attack is run back to defend. Now having Origi on, it just kind of puts him at ease. Like he knows he's not supposed to defend, so he doesn't have that responsibility. So by putting Milner there, gives the responsibility to Milner. Milner's on the pitch to start the moves, link the play into Origi, the said attacker that's now come on, solely with a purpose to change and maybe score a goal, and have not to worry about defending, because Milner is taking care of that thought process for him. Whereas when you bring on Lallana, Keita, Ox, you have someone in midfield that he's questioning the defensive side of the game, which can leave gaps. None of the attackers in front are worried about the defense. Like, Mane ain't going to worry about defending at a time like this, and Firmino ain't. and Zollering, because you have Trent, you have Robertson, and you have Fabinho that's supposed to be doing that. For me, it just doesn't make sense to bring on those players in this type of game. You cannot let your midfield wall become weaker, and by adding one of those three in, it does become weaker because they're not as defensively responsible as the three that Klopp likes to go with in Wiji, Fabinho and Henderson. And that, my friend, is my conclusion. I just watch each player, I watch what they're doing, each individual player, and I know what they bring. I don't need to look at stats. Stats are a myth. Yeah, you can play against the bottom 10 teams, right, and your stats are fire. But then when you play the top 10 teams, your stats get seriously watered down or put out. They become different. So what does that say? It means stats lie. You're not really that good. Then are you really? I mean, if your stats are sick, against the bottom 10, top 10, then okay. Someone telling me on Twitter about, okay, Naby's last 6 games. Well, who did in the run up to Barca last season? Who did he play? Who was he playing against? Who did we play? I can't even remember. But I know Southampton was one of them. Porto away. Let's face it. Most of you were thinking Porto was, that's who we wanted to get in the Champions League. They were the weakest side. We had to play them twice. Why shouldn't Naby Keita play? And he played. Before that, we played Southampton. What? Home or was we away? Naby Keita played. I'm sure the other games were weaker. But when it comes to the big matches that you can argue we've lost, like Napoli this season, Napoli last season, Man City last season in the league, Naby Keita didn't start. He doesn't start the big games because Klopp prefers a solid, hard-working midfield. And you would all say, oh no, but there's no assists. Rewind the video. I've explained to you what their jobs are about. That is what they're there to do. So, it was a crazy match. 4-3, we take 3 points. We're 1 point behind Napoli now. We look forward to Leicester. I'm going to leave a lot of this footage raw because there's a lot to edit. I got my flow, I found my vision, and I was in it. And sorry there weren't much movement on screen with characters. I did what I could do, but talking and then moving around stuff on the screen can get quite difficult, weirdly. Before I go, guys, let's talk about my prediction. Was a 3-0. I was smiling near half-time because it was 3-0. And then what happened? The scorers, I think I went with... I can't remember where I went with. I'm not going to lie, hold my hands up. Can't remember. Maybe I think I said Sadio, Naby and Salah, because I remember something about Naby and Mane scoring against the old team. So I think I did go Salah, Naby and Mane, or Mane 2 and Naby 1. Either way, I was wrong. If I said Salah, okay, Salah scored 2, I got 1 right. Mane scored 1. Guys, we move on. Next week we have Leicester at Anfield. So yes, guys, I have been the Red Mist LFC Ninja. This has been your full-time post-match review of Liverpool versus RB Salzburg in the Champions League. Till next time, people, let's do this.